Hey, how's it going? I'm gonna ask you to look at some signs before I really get started because I'm unable to form a coherent thought at the moment. Okay, that's good enough. So, okay, I'm gonna pull some cards. That is why I'm here. But, I also have something on my mind. So, like, I wrote this thing a couple of days ago, a WordPress piece, because I was thinking about what they don't know won't hurt them, or any variation of that. And maybe I'll link it here, but if you're interested and I forget, it's on WordPress. My, what do you call over there? Whatever my title, my handle is KTM2 Press. And my name should be somewhere on there, Kathy Sample, you can locate it. But anyway, it really got me thinking about honesty. And here's the thing, like, I feel like I don't believe that anyone has escaped the temptation to embellish or lie about something, anything, at some point in their life. I mean, if there's a perfect being out there, I have yet to hear of them. So, but the thing is you can't go back and change anything. But if you, and when I say you, I mean me, decide that, like, you want to clean up your act and just not do that as much as possible. Not that I was out there just, like, telling huge lies and running scams or anything like that, but I think it's really easy for us to just be barreling along in our speech and just start saying stuff, and maybe at a later moment you realize, well, some of that just wasn't true. Or any kind of, you could dream up one. I'm not going to try and find one for every viewer. I'm just trying to get you to, I just want my idea to get across. And so I want to move forward rather than dwelling on what happened in the past. Like, if possible, you can make amends for having been dishonest in all of the myriad ways that can happen. But I want to, going forward, do my best to not go back. And there's a reason for me. There's a reason, like, I have a motivation for doing it. So, I mean, I guess that's good, but I shouldn't have needed a motivation. Like, I knew, that, I mean, my God, you're told from when you're very young, as I wrote in this piece I discussed, to be honest. And then, like I said, I don't know anyone that's a perfect soul that has not in some way been dishonest. You can take any implication from that remark that you want, because anyone would probably work, really. So I have this new motivation in my life that I don't want to do that anymore, if at all possible. And then it got me thinking about, like, this Scientology stuff with this 70s show guy that, wow, they gave him a lot of time for 2 incidents. But I guess, I know they're not supposed to do that, but it just makes me think. And it was a woman judge too, so I just wonder if she didn't think of all the other people he perpetrated himself upon. Because it's I'm just going to say sexual assault. It's worse than that, but I don't want to. It's getting said enough in the news sphere, so it's just harsh and ugly. So, but I think that on some level, that judge must have been aware of all of the other people over many, many years that this was, you know, Scientology turned a blind eye to it. More on them in a moment. And also, like, Friends did as well. And here's the thing, I just happened to see like a you know, a YouTube clip, and it was Jerry Seinfeld, and he seemed to be talking about like Me Too, and he said this thing. Well, I'll tell you what he said. He was talking about Louis C.K., and he was saying he's a good guy, and he's like same things they were saying about this 70s show actor. I've never seen him be anything but nice, and he's always conducted himself in front of me like a gentleman, or just things along that line. And this was said to me by a family member too, what Jerry Seinfeld said. I didn't see it, so I don't believe it happened. And my answer to both people was, yeah, all of the people that are doing rape and sexual assault are announcing it to the public first. I'm gonna like attack this person against their will at this location at this time, stop the presses, tell everyone. Does it happen like that? No. In fact, the Weinstein victims, survivors, in their recounts of their situations, how many people were in the room? Him and them. So what makes Seinfeld, evidently an intelligent guy, think that, why would you know? Why would you even think that? Like, it's just like a reflex. You want to protect your friend, you want to protect your comedian family guy, because I noticed that the comedians stick together, and some of those guys say some just, well, things that I would rather not hear, put it that way. And you know, they'll all cluster around him and come together, and it's like, dude, did we forget the lesson of Bill Cosby? Like, and there, a lot of them are men, and how are they just gonna sit there and act like they don't know that it happens, that they don't know? If they haven't done it themselves, they've certainly seen the sides of it in other guys. But like I said, same with like people that do bad things to children. They're not announcing that stuff either. Same thing. So it's silly to say, well, I don't believe it because I didn't see it. You wouldn't, you dummy. Sorry, that was harsh. But it's a harsh reality, and I've you know, been subject to similar things on multiple occasions. It just gets old to hear people going, well, I don't believe it because I didn't see it. That's dumb. Use a think for a second. So anyway, that is, I think, dishonesty to yourself. Like, you would just rather believe that it doesn't happen, and then you would also rather believe, like in my case, that your family member is saying something awful about this mutual family member just to what, get it. Someone once in my family once said I was doing it for attention, and I was like, you're insane. Because at the time I was getting a lot of attention. I was in the local newspaper, for God's sake. It was like, what a dumb thing to say. And did you not hear what I was saying? Like, I feel like what the people are saying that happened to them is glossed over, and it's like, that is the thing that is most upsetting to the person that has been attacked, basically. So it's I feel my face getting hot. It's probably red. I can't really tell. I think my glasses fogged up a little. But yeah, I get heated about it, because people will find more reasons to not listen to you, and it's like, are you not hearing what this person is saying? It is not nothing to be telling someone that no, you don't. I don't want to be overpowered. I don't want you touching me. I don't want your nasty breath all over me. I don't want your. It is traumatic, and it's much more traumatic than you hearing about it and thinking, well, I didn't see it, so it couldn't happen. We people is funny. So, the Scientology thing, do you know anything about Scientology? I would advise you to look at Scientology in the aftermath, or any person that's left Scientology. If they're talking, listen to what they're saying, because what I hear is that they were sort of trapped in this organization where you're barely allowed to think independently. It's the way that they work people inside of it. It sounds just like slavery, and I don't believe for 1 minute that Scientology did some weird things with people's relationships, like they really wanted to destroy them, and parents would be separated from their children, and people would be encouraged and I guess brainwashed into completely turning on their family members and shunning them and like never dealing with them again because of what this church is telling them. But inside of this church, the people are worked like slaves, and if you don't think that the natural sort of thing that comes into people's minds, I'm not going to restrict it only to men because it's not just men, but if someone has an idea that they want to get you somewhere alone and do things to you, they're certainly not going to announce it. I mean, I'm just saying it's a natural thing that happens because it happens everywhere. It doesn't matter what the organization, place, building, business, it doesn't matter. It happens. Family, home, church, it happens everywhere. There's always somebody within their mind to take something physically away from another person using their power. And then in this Scientology organization, I'm sure that that's... What? How are you out? You're plugged in. Oh, well, you're not. No, you're not. Stupid thing. Well, anyway, I'm just saying that it sounds like a ripe place for child trafficking and abuse. And the stories I've heard, not the trafficking part, because they wouldn't announce that, would they? But it's a perfect place to do it. Their people are cloistered, they are low information, they're not allowed access to technology or television, I don't think. I mean, they're very restricted. They are very poorly educated in most cases that I've heard recounted. And also their fair game policy against people not in the church, that law enforcement just seems to turn a blind eye to, and it just sounds like constant harassment and abuse of people that have left Scientology, and even people that were never a part of Scientology, they will go after because of this fair game policy. And I feel like it's domestic terrorism, and the law enforcement doesn't seem to be able to do much about it, or they're not caring enough to do something about it. And these people are like following people around dangerously, threatening them, breaking into their homes, like doing everything they can to terrorize them. And in Scientology, you're not allowed to report anybody for anything. It's certainly not to the legal authorities outside of the church. But there's some sort of handshake going on, like money must be changing hands, because it just seems insane to me that this stuff is going on the streets, not inside of, inside of the church. And I know that they get away with so much, and I know that they paid the IRS a lot of money, and wow, they paid one organization a lot of money, and all the other ones everywhere are just like, okay, we're hands off, and nobody talks about that, and it's right there in the open. And what is that? What is that? So, and Hollywood, well, don't you think it's interesting that sexual abuse has just been a constant sort of background noise about Hollywood? Like, it wouldn't, do you think that the things that I'm talking about, like slavery, human trafficking, child trafficking, sexual abuse, trafficking, whatever, have been around forever. So why are we acting like it's not happening? It's just obscured now. It's just hidden now, or the will to care about it and do anything except talk. It doesn't seem to be there. And most of us go around like that's not happening because it's ugly to think about. And, gotta split my brain on this too. At the same time, all of these people doing these things, being subjected to these things, including me, it's all part of the plan. It's all part of what we all ordered up for each other to experience. And boy, we like extremes, I guess. But I feel like I don't like it that much. I feel like I just want to be like very, I don't know, low drama, low maintenance, low key, because all of that is tiring, like I said, feel the feelings, but don't make it your life. But it's kind of hard to ignore after a while. I mean, you can ignore it forever. I think that's what we as a whole, the human community, has done, because I'm glad it's not happening to me and it's over there and I can't see it, so I don't have to think about it. If I can't see it, it's not there. That's just being dishonest to yourself, and that can get you hurt or worse. So I don't mean to be a bummer, but I mean, I guess these are kind of bummer subjects. So I did actually pull some cards, but that's way too hot and I don't want to burn my mouth on it. I need to get a drink. One moment, please. Okay, so I'll talk about cards now. So I pulled this card from the Shaman's Dream Oracle deck, and it's number 4, Cat or Pillar. And today I just got real loud cotton candy vibes from this today. That's not necessarily an endorsement. I'm sorry to say that once again, this poor cat is giving me suspicious vibes. But one thing I also, for some reason, I'm not sure why I was hearing this, but I was also hearing procrastination. So I don't know what it has to do with the subtitle on here, opportunity. But, it just occurred to me right now, it could have to do with what I just was saying. I've been experiencing that in the past, I was one way and would have done things differently and had done things differently. However, and I'm speaking about being dishonest, well, I mean, there's levels to that, but I always knew if I was doing it, so that sits inside of you and I guess kind of festers, or it's a seed planted for later that develops into the spring of telling the damn truth. I don't know. Bloopity bloop. But we haven't faced a lot of things that are really true and out there, like I was saying, and so maybe that's what we've been procrastinating on, because on a level, all of the stuff I said, I feel like is true, like we all know that this stuff is going on some level, whether we're conscious of it or not, in other words. But I think we are. I think that that dishonesty thing extends to not looking at stuff that will, if we do look at it closely and examine it minutely, it's gonna, I feel like, make us understand that, okay, now you've gone to this step and keep going further, and it's gonna move you away from not dealing with it. It's like moving you toward dealing with it. whatever the it is. And the other reason I felt like honesty was going to be really important. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I seem to have a gas bubble trying to come out. The reason why I think it's important is because I'm going to talk about the swamp. The swamp has been being exposed pretty much since Trump started, and I will say it, I've said it before and I'll say it again. He'll talk about a lot of things and he'll make a lot of admissions, and at this time they're going to be to his detriment, I can tell you, because I know his lawyers are like, shut up. All of those people in those cases that are attached with him, none of those people know how to be a criminal, right? Like, if you're in the mob, in the old days, I've just read about this and seen movies, but I remember it was pretty loud that they were telling John Gotti, like, you're too flamboyant, get out of the public eye, stop strutting around. No, he didn't listen, because he didn't want to. He wanted to be out there. So, a little sidetracked, but there's going to be stuff coming out, and I have said this before, and I don't have to go look, right? Because if you're associated with that guy, whatever you're doing with him in that association is probably going to be not quite legal. He has a history of this. It's not a lie, and it's not fake news. It's long established old news. Yeah, but can you give me an actual alert, though? You're just blooping and you're not showing me anything. Anyway, sorry, I had to have a word with my phone. But, all of the names that you've been hearing since he was in office, almost all of them are going to be in legal trouble because they did something with him that was untoward with legality. And I just feel like it's like a nervous system, like he's the he's the brain, and everyone else attached to him are the nerves, and those are gonna get frayed. And I'm not gloating, okay? Because like split brain again. Like, good for you doing your job. I don't need your counterpoint. And if it's your job to be like not a great person, then be the best not a great person you could be, I guess. That's why we're here. So yeah, there's all kinds of reconciliation that has to go on with thinking about this stuff, and it's like I've been saying, like, kind of tries to split my brain in half. So this cat, I didn't notice this so much the last time I pulled this card, but I noticed that it's one of those Sphinx cats. It doesn't seem to have hair growing out of it like a non-Sphinx cat, and it is wrapped up in something. It's cotton candy colored and textured looking, or fiberglass that also comes in the same color. But those cats are cold, those Sphinx cats, because they don't have a fur coat. But what I didn't notice before was there's all these patterns on the skin, and I don't know how well you'll be able to see that. Some kind of markings. It sort of reminds me of like a pink henna tattoo, and the eyes that I kind of tripped out on the last couple of times, like that could be like a ceremonial charcoal makeup thing. But I just feel like this cat is deceptive somehow. It's got this cloud of pinky, rose-colored vision smoke happening, and you know what? It just reminded me of Batman. You know, when Batman wants to disappear, especially in the cartoons, the animated shows, they'll have him be like kind of, well, he's never embarrassed, but I get the idea that like something is said, and then rather than answer, he'll throw down a smoke bomb and disappear while it's happening. And the smoke makes it so that you can't see him leave. So I feel like it's like, yeah, everything's great. You can't see behind this nice, fluffy, sweet-looking smoke. You don't want to see what's back there. You just want to roll around in the flowers and hang out with this hypnotic cat that's all seductive, but really, like, isn't it all too good to be true? So I just feel like there's so many things that government has not made us aware of, and there's so many things that within the government is happening. Like one hand is sort of hiding what the other hand is doing, and that I mean I think of us as a body, and I feel like Washington is like the vital intestines, and they're fighting with each other. That's not good, but there's a number of reasons why that could be, and another of them is, which I feel like is right in front of our faces, so many of our politicians seem to want to say and do things that, as far as I can tell, will not benefit this country. And I think, why would they do that? What would impel them to say and do these things and block measures that are causing such a problem by blocking them from going through, that there is a potential threat to be happening? And who would benefit from our this country, our weakness? Well, that is the question that, if you want to know where my mind is heading, that is the question you should be asking. Who would want to, not see us do well, or not wish us well? Who would want to sabotage our success? But when I talk about it, and I know it's like such a horrible American big head thing to say, but I've always felt like there are a few countries out there that are really envious of this one and are mad at our way. Yes. And that it's so popular with the whole world, including their country. And they don't want it that way, but instead of like making their own country the desirable thing, they want to like attack ours and eliminate it. And I know that's just one like thread of a nervous system. One, you know what I'm saying? That kind of thing. Like, it's not like we don't do it to other countries, and I don't know that we're envious so much unless it's about a resource or something, or that we could use that country as some sort of lever. And I'm thinking of like Vietnam era, where somehow they're all over Laos and Cambodia, neither of which are Vietnam, so we ain't great about that kind of thing either. But yes, thank you. I feel like I just don't want any of that to happen. I don't want us to have to worry about attacks and sabotage and infiltration like I feel is happening. Oh, did I let my secret out? Yeah, that's what I think those people in our government that are not particularly helpful, it seems like everything they do is something to throw a wrench in the works or a stick in the spokes, like something to just stop us in such a way that it's abrupt and hurtful. Emphasis on hurtful, because somebody's been telling stories that have gotten us to turn against ourselves and to root for other countries, which is like, do you know how other countries choose spies from other countries? They look for people that have weaknesses, like financial weakness or psychological weakness, and boy, we have no shortage of people like that. And as far as the government people, well, they're not financially weak, but the way they pursue it makes me think they're mentally weak. So, I didn't ask you for your opinion. Don't scold me. But that's how I feel. Like, if that's your priority, is like getting money, and stuff, and power over people, like, I don't find that at all admirable. Get control of yourself and applause. You get the trophy from me, but this other business about the acquisition and the commerce and the capitalism and the competition, that does not impress me at all, because it doesn't bring out the best in people. I'm not talking about sports, so sit down. Calm down. Okay. Really? Oh, sorry about that. I didn't mean to slam you. So the other card I pulled, it was from the Wild Unknown Animal Spirit deck. And it was Bat. Speaking of Batman. Isn't that funny? Well, that's interesting. This bat is flying obviously at night. That's when they come out and are active. And the moon is glowing, and I was thinking, oh yes, it's coming out, it's like in the dark by the light of the moon. That kind of doesn't make sense, but it is kind of how it works. But then I thought, the moon doesn't emanate its own light. It does not emanate its own light. It reflects light from the sun. And this bat is well, it's sure flying away from the light. I'm not sure what that might mean. I'll tell you something about bats, though. Like actual bats, I like them. I think they need to exist. Every animal exists and is part of the ecosystem, and some do things that we humans like. And like these guys eat bugs. I think mosquitoes. What, I'm wrong about that? I know they eat bugs, but anyway, I think mosquitoes as well, which is good. But then, do they then get the diseases carried by the mosquitoes? Because these guys have a bad reputation for being disease carriers. If you've ever been in an actual bat cave, I haven't, but I've seen them on television of people going in there, and the reaction is that it doesn't seem like it smells very sanitary, and they don't have the anatomical structure to to be fastidious housekeepers or housekeepers at all, because animals generally are not. So it does seem like they live in a disease area, where they sleep, their den or cave or whatever it's called, the bat house enclosure. But we don't really encounter them much. Where I live now, which is in the Pacific Northwest coast of the United States, is not where I'm from. And where I'm from is Los Angeles, in Hollywood. And so I'm sure somewhere there are bats, probably in the more wooded areas in the hills, which I lived under the foothills, so I don't ever remember hearing any here, but when I moved here to the Pacific Northwest, even now where I live, but if I went out at night, if it wasn't like total city, which is not hard, lots of wooded areas really close by everywhere. And anyway, you can hear them in the evening, after dusk. Once it's actually dark, you can hear them, and you can hear them throughout the night. I don't recall ever seeing them, but it's not a bird call at the time of night that I'm hearing them. And I thought it was bats, and then when I asked someone that's native to the area, it was like, yes, it is bats that you're hearing, and I'm getting a chill. I don't know why that, I like that idea so much. I don't know if it's a chill exactly, but I'm getting like a warm rush of like, I don't know, when you know you're gonna, like when you know you're gonna open your Christmas present or birthday present, whatever it is that you get a rush of happiness from, that you physically feel. I don't know why I'm getting mad about the bats flying around. Like, it makes me real happy for some reason. Let me read from the book, because now I'm just babbling. Babble. Darkness, letting go, death leading to rebirth. Okay, I can go with the flying out of the darkness, or flying in the darkness, lit by the light of the moon that's actually the light of the sun. Anyway, darkness, letting go, death leading to rebirth. Before emerging, the bat waits for the sun to set and the moon to rise. In the darkness, see, not twilight, but like after dusk. In the darkness, it can see all that was invisible in the daylight hours. The bat is a master of the subtle senses, of the underlying forces that cause some things to prosper and others to fade. The bat card shows up to signify the ending of a chapter, the closing of a door. The bat comes swiftly, encouraging us to move on. In just a few hours, a new day dawns. No more lingering in the past. When in balance, accepts, adapts, adjusts. When out of balance, refuses to let go, reminisces. To bring into balance, watch the sunrise. Okay, well, see, a lot of this I feel like, especially the part about in the darkness, it can see all that was invisible in the daylight hours. That is not the one I wanted to read. Sorry, scratch that. The bat is a master of the subtle senses, of the underlying forces that cause some things to prosper and others to fade. That makes me think nothing more of Hollywood and the shenanigans it gets up to that are not necessarily related to film and television making, the creation of shows and movies. It's a place, literally and figuratively, where there's a lot of illusion, okay? And you have people pretending to be people they're not, and some of them, like your method actors, get a little too into the work, and into the illusion, and it's seductive. And I know that I have read that there are some that it's hard for them to come out of that role and back into themselves for a while. So there's that, and isn't that interesting that the people even in it doing it, and it's their profession, get so strongly looped into what they're doing that they lose the ability to differentiate the role from reality. That is highly intoxicating, and I think it is something that once a certain type of personality has discovered, like, oh, all of this is accessible to me because I am who I am, where I am, and some of it might be sort of off point, off center, but I can live with that because I can keep a secret, because I have things, peccadillos and personality traits that may not sell well publicly, but this is a place of illusion, and there's a bunch of us here that are similar. Like, there's people that are fine with the illusion and hiding things, but it gets to another level because all of the whole structure of Hollywood, and not just the city, as far as it extends, is a cover, can exist as a cover for a lot of things like abuse. And I wouldn't be surprised at all if some form of human trafficking or child trafficking exists, because there's too much about it that's obvious that it would be a place where it could thrive and prosper, and it could go along plenty hush hush, because I feel like there's a lot of compromise situations that happen in Hollywood. Like, I got something on you, I will continue to pay you to do what you want to do, but you got to do this, that, and the other thing for me. And the person may be like, oh man, I really don't want to do this, that, and the other thing, but I really, really do want to do my thing. So I feel like a lot of compromises are made, a lot of silences are kept, a lot of ignorance is encouraged, and honesty discouraged. So I guess I'm saying that for myself, at least, I had to draw a line, you know, like, what do I want to be part of going forward? Not the sort of dark and musty hidden stuff, I don't think. And being honest and facing stuff is not easy, but I mean, if you can do it, if you can get through the process of, I don't know, I just felt like I had an image of like a car wash, except instead of water, it's fire. If you can get through that, you know, well, I think you're better off, like, the more flammable fake stuff that you are wearing or have manufactured, the more of that you can burn off, you know, and then get through the end of that fire wash with what was underneath, your basic you intact. Bravo. I don't know, I guess it's like, pick a side. Thank you and good night.